What's going on, folks? I wanted to make this video for those of you all who may be dealing with a family member, a loved one, somebody that's close to you that may be dealing with a drug issue. If that person ever was to get locked up, say, for whatever it may be on the streets, whether it be caught with drugs or committing some other type of crime. One thing that you don't want to do for that person, you definitely don't want to send them money by putting money, say, on their books. Also, you probably don't want to also give them a care package. A lot of times, if you send them money, that money can be converted over into commissary. And what commissary is when you're locked up in jail or prison, a lot of times, it's like food. A lot of times that money is given to an account, and then that person is able to go order different food items from the commissary, which is basically like a store. They can get stuff like ramen noodles, honey buns, candy bars, all type of different snacks and things like that with that money. The same thing goes if you send somebody a care package. When you send somebody a care package that's locked up, pretty much what you're doing then, unless it's stuff like socks and underwear and stuff like that, what you're sending them also may be food items. Once again, ramen noodles, honey buns, candy bars, sodas, and all stuff like that. But if you're dealing with somebody that's been locked up that doesn't have a drug issue, these items may be okay. But you still want to be careful sending this stuff to them, because if other people in the jail see that this person is getting a whole lot of commissary, meaning snacks and all that, they could become a target for extortion. And a lot of time what that means is that people in there may start bullying that person or threatening them to basically give them their commissary. And it can also get as bad as where those people start threatening them to where they're constantly going to be calling their loved ones on the outside to send them more money or to send them more care packages. That way they can pretty much pay almost say that ransom that they're being forced to pay to keep themselves safe while they're locked up. So that's just one thing you want to be careful of when you're sending stuff to somebody that's locked up, that you don't get that person targeted because they have too much food, too many items, and what they're showing is that they have people on the outside who are willing to send them money and to send them care packages. It's be the same thing as walking on the streets or walking in a bad neighborhood with a bunch of jewelry around your neck or expensive watches on your wrist or driving an expensive car. The people around you are going to notice that, and it's going to cause you to become a target. Now, if you're dealing with somebody that is a drug addict and you send that person money, put money on their books, most likely what's going to happen is that money is going to be converted over into commissary, stuff like ramen noodles once again, or whatever else it may be, pops, honey buns. But instead of that person using that as something for them to eat, normally what they're going to do is trade this off, because in jail, this stuff like this basically becomes currency. Since they're not allowed to walk around with money in jail, if you have somebody in jail who's a drug addict and they're trying to get drugs, because as we most know, there's always going to be drugs inside of most jails and most prisons. But since there's not money a lot of time in those jails and prisons, what becomes a currency is the ramen noodles, is the honey buns, is the sodas. So if you're sending your loved ones money or giving them care packages that consist of commissary type items, what's most likely going to happen is they're going to basically take these ramen noodles and they're going to trade them ramen noodles off for hits of drugs while they're locked up. So in essence, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be becoming an enabler, which is allowing for that person to stay getting high even while they locked up. A lot of time when people get locked up, it's a good time for them to detox because they're not on the streets anymore, and they may not be able to break in somebody's house or to steal whatever item they was stealing to sell for drugs or to commit the other various crimes they was doing to get high. So if that person's locked up and they don't have any access to, of course, they don't have access to money, but if they also don't have access to commissary items, then a lot of times they're kind of forced to detox while they're locked up. And sometimes you'll get called calls from your loved ones that say that the food is crappy inside of here and they're not getting enough food. That's just normally a tactic that's going to be used by drug addicts to get you to send them stuff. Because if you look at it like this, if they're out on the streets and they would pretty much risk their freedom, risk their life, basically sell everything they got to get high on the streets, what makes you think that when they get these commissary, they're going to actually be concerned about eating that? Now, of course, in jail, they're not going to starve, because when somebody's locked up, the jail or prison itself is going to provide them with food. They're going to receive food. They're going to receive soaps. They're going to receive the things that they need to take care of themselves, the basic necessities. So you don't have to worry about if you don't send them money to buy a commissary that they're going to starve in there. The jails are going to provide them with what they need. So the money that you're going to be sent normally is just going to be used, like I said before, to be converted over into commissary, which is going to be these type of items. Then those type of items are going to be used to get the drugs that they're trying to get a hold of. So I just wanted to make this video for you all who may be going through that, and to let you know this can be a very serious thing when somebody's locked up, not to send them too much stuff, whether they be a drug addict or they're just a regular person. Even with phone calls, sometimes if you got somebody locked up and they're constantly calling, you're constantly accepting their phone calls, what'll happen once again is the other people around us watching that, they pick up on that. And once again, what it tells them is that this person has people on the outside that care about them, that's willing to spend money for them, which means every time they make those phone calls, that means that somebody decided to accept it and paid money for that person to talk to them. And they're putting money on that person's books. And of course, just like with anything else, if people pick up on that, that person once again may become a target of extortion. And the extortions in jail can run the gamut. You know, everything from sexual assaults to physical assaults to just constant bullying to anything across the board pretty much. So just make sure that you're careful that when you're dealing with a loved one that's locked up, that for one, if that person has a drug issue, that you don't become an enabler and allow them to still get high while they're locked up by sending them, putting money on their books, or by sending them care packages that consist of items that can be traded off for drugs. And second of all, if you know somebody that's locked up, don't send them too much money. Don't allow them to call you too much, because just trust and believe that everybody in there is going to be watching and paying attention to what's going on with the other inmates. So the last thing you would want to do is to get your loved one extorted, possibly hurt, as well as you don't want to get yourself extorted on the outside world, because now you find yourself feeling like you have to send them money. And if you don't, that person's going to get hurt. All right. Please check out our other helpful videos. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.